Hi, this is DickBird, playing Torland. This is from night, day before yesterday, or maybe it was yesterday. Can't really remember. Didn't absolutely destroy everything in my path on this match, but it was a fun match. I suppose you could say there's some fairly inexperienced players, but it kind of ended up being an illustration of some of the things that you should do or shouldn't do at Torland. We lost the match before this, and at the beginning of this match I was imparting some wisdom to the troops there. I was basically telling them, okay, there's a time to hold the orb at your prime, and then there's a time to move it out of the prime, excuse me. We had a player that took our orb and sat at our prime during the entire match, which was really a good idea for about half the time he was doing it. But then we had taken both sides, and all that remained was for us to take enemy prime, and he was still holding our prime holding our orb at the prime. And at that point, holding the orb at the prime wasn't a good idea anymore. But, so he'd mastered one half of the strategy, but the other half wasn't really there. So I said something to that effect at the beginning of this match, and I think someone took that to heart, because on this match it kind of went the same way. You had that was a nice kill. We had the orb at the prime, and then they actually did make an attempt to take the enemy prime with it, although that attempt failed. But it was a good attempt. At this point, I'm making the classic complaint because someone on our team is taking center. And this of course is rule number one on this map. And you might wonder why. Some people sometimes ask why do people complain about you taking center on this map? I mean, the lady announcer keeps telling you to take center. Shouldn't you take center? The lady announcer wouldn't tell you to do it if it wasn't right? Well, no, actually, the lady announcer is wrong. The lady announcer is lying to you. Never listen to the lady announcer. She's completely wrong in many instances, and this is one of them. When the lady tells you to take center, don't take center. You're going to let a robot tell you what to do. Seriously, that's what that is. That's a robot. Don't let robots tell you what to do. Robots are stupid. She's got a sexy voice, but that means nothing. Just ignore her. Look at the map. Look at that little map in the upper right-hand corner. That's what tells you what to do. Okay? And this is really what this game is all about, is that map in the upper right-hand corner right there. Right now, you see, we got a prime, they got a prime. Know that now, in order to hit our core, they got to hold our prime. So the prime is very important. In this case, and it's the network between your prime and their prime. It's the network there that kind of decides how this map needs to be played. In this case, you got your prime connected to two intermediates on the sides, and then they're connected to the enemy prime. What that means is this map is going to be very unstable between the point where you control your prime and the point where you control the enemy prime. Now, if you can control the enemy prime, all you got to do is hold that one prime, and you got control of the whole map. Whereas, if the enemy has control of your prime, they've got control of the whole map. That's what it's all about on this thing. Now, center, what is center connected to? Center is connected to nothing. Okay, now if the enemy is taking your prime, and you're over there fighting for center, What's wrong with this picture? Yes, that's right. They're taking control of the entire map, and you're taking control of something that relates to nothing. Okay, that's one problem with taking center. What's another problem with taking center? Well, there's the obvious thing, which is simply that there's an orb spawn point at center. If you take center, the orb is no longer going to spawn at the base camp. It's going to spawn at center. What's wrong with that? At the base camp, there's a Raptor. And the Raptor is the best vehicle for towing the orb. There's no Raptor at center. When the orb spawns at center, it's much harder to tow it anywhere. There's some Scorpions at center, but they're not as good for towing the orb. Once you take center, if you want to tow the orb, you have to take a vehicle from the base camp and fly it to center and hope there's somebody there to carry the orb for you. Otherwise, you're going to have to drop the vehicle and pick up the orb yourself if you want it to go anywhere. And if you pick up the orb at center, you've got to hope there's a vehicle around to tow you, or else you're going to be faced with some very difficult paths to take on foot. You can go either way down the canyon, either way down the canyon, either towards your prime or the enemy prime, on foot in the open. Very difficult to do without being killed. And if the fight is for the side nodes,
I've got the orb.
That path is very roundabout. It's going to take you a long time to get anywhere useful that way. You can take the jump to go up to the top, but once again, on foot, not an easy trip. Well, anyway, that's why you don't take center. It's just, the fight is for the sides here. You've got to control at least one of the sides and then keep the enemy from taking your prime. You've got to take the enemy prime. Once you've got the enemy prime, you've got the entire map under control. But if you lose the enemy prime and they start taking those sides, you're losing the entire map. And it won't be long before you lose the whole match. So that's the deal with this map. If you play this map, don't take center, especially if your prime is under attack. Don't take center. You're needed to defend the prime and take these sides. That's what you should be concentrating on. You know, I mean, yeah, I know center gives you that that vehicle, that crazy cicada vehicle. The cicada's not that great a vehicle. Okay, it's useful, yeah, it can be good, but it's not that great.